Hello folks, today I'm at the Murphey School in downtown Dover, a school that's helped young people for nearly 100 years. We'll be talking to some administrators and program directors today. Stick around, you're in for a great program. Hi, Dave Skocik here for PR Delaware. I'm at the Elizabeth Murphey School here in downtown Dover with the president of the Board of Directors, Joe McDaniel. Welcome.
Thanks for having us and thanks for being here.
I appreciate the opportunity. The place has been here forever, I believe, since 1922.
Not forever, but since 1922.
Oh.
It was founded then, and then the buildings were built over the next 4 to 6 years. So we've been here quite a while.
And so have you. You've been president for how many years?
I've been on the board for almost 40 years and president for about 25.
You know, it's a place that people often drive by, wonder what is it, because it's also near Central Middle School and other schools here, and I guess it gets confusing as to which building is which. But tell me about the Murphey School.
Well, it is a group care foster home, and we're in one of the administration buildings. Mr. Murphey was probably one of the most generous benefactors in the city of Dover. He was from Dover, and he made his fortune out west mining and brokering coal, and he was very civic-minded. He built the Presbyterian Church over here on State Street and gave that to the congregation in honor of his father, Thomas Greer Murphey, who was a Presbyterian minister. And then he built this school in honor of his mother, Elizabeth Murphey. He acquired the land, built most of the buildings between 1922 and 1928, got the school started, and gave the Board of Trustees $1 million to endow it at the time, which was a lot of money, and is a lot of money.
About 10 times that much today.
A lot of money back then. And unfortunately, he died. I mean, he saw the school operate, but he died in 1928. But he was the one, it was his idea and his mission to get this school started. He wanted it to be called a school and not a home because of the connotation of a home being what it is, and we've been going ever since.
And who do you serve primarily?
We serve the whole state of Delaware. It used to be that we just served Kent County, but we serve the entire state. We have boys and girls here. We serve kids from maybe 7 or 8 years of age, 9, up to and through high school. And then we have another program, which you'll talk about later, where once a child graduates from high school, they can be in an independent living program here until they're 21.
So it is a residential facility?
It is a residential facility. The children live here. Right now we have about 31 children.
Tell me about what kind of children you have here. Why are they here?
These are children that have been in a foster home. They're not orphans. They have one or both parents, but for some reason the parents can't handle them. And most of them have been in a foster home. They were placed there by the state. And then the state places them here if the foster home didn't work out. And we have a program here. All the children live here, as you said, full-time, and they attend the public schools. We try and keep them in the school from where they came. So they're not all in the capital school district. We might have to ferry some of them downstate or upstate to other schools, but to keep their life as normal as possible, we keep them in the same schools.
So you've affected the life of a lot of students, a lot of young people.
When you talk to Mr. Kopp, he says we've affected about 9,000 children over the 90-some years we've been around.
And I imagine during your tenure that probably half of those students are accounted for.
I don't know if it was half of them, because when I was a kid, we would have a population of close to 60 at Murphy School at any one time. We had dormitories. Now we have individual rooms, and our population is usually between 30 and 35.
So as the chairman, what's your primary function?
My function is to make sure the school operates well by making sure that we hire the right person to be the executive director.
Okay. And who supports the school? Where does the money come from?
The school is supported by the state. The state pays to have children placed here. I did mention that we have our own endowment that Mr. Murphy gave to us, and it's managed by and actually owned by a bank in Colorado. And so the endowment provides about 10% of our operating budget. The other 90% is provided by the state of Delaware. We do get the occasional gift, and we're always looking for gifts. On our website, which is murphyschool.org,
And Murphy with an E on it. It'll be
Murphy
on the
with an
screen.
E, Murphy with an E. On our website, there is a donate button like so many websites have. And we always look for and we receive donations. The community has been very generous with us over the years.
Do you have much contact with students who have come through this, who are now adults?
We do, and here again, Mr. Kopp will talk about that. But they do come back, because in many cases it was their home for a number of years.
Now, certainly with a facility this big and in some cases this old, what are the challenges you find in maintaining these buildings?
This is an old campus, and we've brought it up to date for the 21st century in the last 10 years. We have new roofs. All the buildings now have a geothermal system. We used to have one heating plant across the hall that did, or across the street that did the whole campus, and that was not very efficient. So we've got new bathrooms, new kitchens. So it's a kind of a 1920s buildings with 2016 systems in them.
And it goes on and on, I suppose, the renovations.
Oh, there's always
the
something
upkeep,
going on. Always something going on.
Do you have any new plans to build new buildings or renovate?
Not at this time. We've been offered some buildings in the neighborhood, but we really don't need them. We've got what we need. The most recent acquisition was we bought the land behind us 60 years ago. Each new governor that comes in thinks it's their land, but it's ours. It's ours.
Well, I guess you've got to stay visible. You've got to let people know you're here, the people that you serve. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I can't think so. I like having interviews like this so the community can be more aware of the Murphy School, because we don't advertise and we don't have big fundraisers. And as you say, people ride by the campus all the time and they might think it's part of the Central Middle School.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did for many years, and I know that there are some good folks who have come through here. But thanks so much for being with us. I've been with Joe McDaniel.
Thanks for having us.
Hello, Dave Skocik. I'm back here at the Murphy School, the Elizabeth Murphy School in Dover, Delaware. I'm with the Executive Director, Mike Kopp. Mike, welcome.
Dave, welcome.
You're another interesting guy associated with this who's been here a long time. Tell me about yourself.
Well, I have been here, most people consider a long time. I came here in 1985, became the Executive Director in 1992. This is a kind of work that you either love it or you don't make it. And our staff turnover rate will show you that most of the people we have here absolutely love it. It's a great thing to do with your life.
It would seem so. I know that certainly you've been out around town talking about in other places, talking about the Murphy School. You spoke at our Rotary Club a couple of months back, and I know that you're involved with one of the groups from our Rotary Club who's engaged with young people. Tell me why you came here and what satisfaction that you get from being here.
Well, I came here because I like to be a part of changing children's lives, and I was actually invited to come here. I'd been involved in a residential treatment facility in Pennsylvania before I came here, and it looked like a great change. I loved the campus. It's a very homey atmosphere. Residential treatments can, not always, but can be very sterile, and this had great possibilities for a homey atmosphere for the children.
It is homey. I know certainly being here in Dover, and people say, how'd you get in the middle of a busy community? But actually I've been told that when it was first founded, this was the edge of Dover.
Correct. Mr. Murphy actually purchased land that was on the northern boundary of the city of Dover, so we didn't come up with our acreage and buildings in the middle of town. Town developed around us, and it's great having this for the children because they have access to the community and everything it has to offer to them.
You know, something we talked about is that they don't go to school here. They live here, but they do go to their schools that were closest to where they grew up or to the homes that they had lived in.
Correct. In as much as possible, we try to have the children involved in schooling because there's always an option for reunification with their families or a relative, and so we don't want to disrupt that schooling. So we actually have children at any given time in 7 school districts. Not 7 schools, 7 school districts.
Wow.
So we have children transported anywhere from Christiana to Lower Sussex County.
How do they get, they just get on the buses, state buses, and transport them, or how?
Typically, the schools are responsible to send a driver to get
Really?
them. And we may not be their only pickup. They may have other children in the area who are transporting, and so like a small van goes around and picks everyone up and gets them to their schools.
So at any given time, you have 30 to 35 students who reside here?
Correct. And they're all actively engaged, so I believe in an options-loaded environment, so there should be something going on for everyone. So playground, weight room, we've got a basketball court that's lighted, they can play at night. We've got, we belong to the YMCA. We encourage after-school sport and every other opportunity that these children, if they have an interest, we try to make it happen.
So how big is your staff?
We have a staff of 51 here right now, and we're a 24-hour day operation with 24-hour awake staff. So it requires a number of shifts to keep track of all the children and to keep them safe and to provide programming.
Now, say that you get a call from the local police that we have somebody down there at 2 o'clock in the morning at a bus stop, a young person. How would they end up here, or would they necessarily?
They may not necessarily come here. Typically, the police would call the Children's Department, Division of Family Services, and then their workers would intervene that night or on any given emergency, and it might be because of other domestic issues, but the Children's Department gets involved, and then they make referrals to us. We actually contract with the state of Delaware to take care of their children that they need care for.
Do any of your staff live here on the campus?
I'm the only person on the campus that physically lives here. It's a requirement right presently of the executive director to live on the campus, to be available 24/7. So my biological children were actually raised here with my
Really?
wife and I and our 3 children. They're all young adults now and doing well. And so that part's great. The rest of the staff come in and work shifts and have the opportunity to go home, get fresh, get revived, come back with energy, but also to be involved in community. And so that always gives you this great comparison for what these children can aspire to be and what's typical for children their ages.
So what do you see as your biggest challenge working with these young people?
Boy, I don't know,
Tough
Dave.
question.
I love the work. I don't know. Challenges is always finding resources to do all of the things we'd love to do. Try to think what it's like to have a family with 5 children and 3 of them playing baseball, and you and your wife trying to get them where they need to be. Well, on any given point, we might have 19 children playing baseball or softball on 5 different fields.
Oh, gosh.
So it's a managerial nightmare sometimes to make it happen. But we have some great staff that sacrifice above and beyond. We've got programming people who will arrange stuff, but our staff in the cottages, that's not a job for everybody. You know, there are teachers that do a quality job teaching. They're excellent at what they do, but not every one of them can do what we do. And that's not taking anything from a teacher. It takes a special piece of your heart to give your life and sacrifice, and sometimes take some not necessarily grateful attitude from the children who are struggling with why it is that they need to be in care. And to have that resiliency as staff, and someone said to me sometimes, there are days when it's difficult to love your own children. It's even more rare to find somebody that will love someone else's children.
Well, I know that you've been dedicated. I've known you for years in passing, and certainly you expressed that emotion when you were out speaking. And we're going to have information on the screen of where people can call in order to get you to come out to speak before their groups. It's been great being with
We'd
you.
love to do that.
Thanks so very much. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm back again with Nathan Vidal, the Director of Independent Living Program and Transitional Living here at the Murphey School. Hello, welcome.
Hi, Dave.
You've got an interesting job. You kind of follow up with what goes on after the students leave here. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. We have youth that, in the state of Delaware, about 100 youth age out of foster care every year. And as part of our program here at the Murphey School, it's a continuation of the services that they get in the cottages where they live, but we also provide services, independent living services, for up to 75 youth in the Kent County area.
Oh my gosh.
So, most kids, they're not ready to live on their own at 18, let alone have with them the burden of having either been in foster care or recently aged out of foster care. It can be very daunting for them to be independent and, as Mr. Murphy would say, be a contributing member of society.
Have most of them come through here, or do you pick up young people who have not been here?
Absolutely. For the youth that stay with us through graduation, we work with them to transition. We have youth that will leave our group home setting and then move over to our transitional living cottage. So it's a continuation of what they've been learning in the cottages. For most youth, they're not prepared to be their own boss. They're not prepared to, work a 9-to-5 job and, all those things. So that's the purpose of the independent living services, is to help prepare them to be independent. And it used to be that at age 18, that was it. You were done, there was no foster homes, there was no further support. And hopefully you had a good setup, or you had some sort of family support that would help you be successful. What the state of Delaware has done in about 3 years ago, they developed a way through ASSIST. It's an acronym for providing assistance or a stipend through age 21 for our youth. So that's been tremendous, because without that support, a lot of those youth aging out at 18 could end up being homeless.
So now the ones in the independent living cottage, that's not 75, that's a smaller number.
Correct. We have 2 right now
Oh,
that currently
okay.
live there.
But you have those young people connected with you through these programs.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that, I've been with Murphy School quite a while, and I'm very passionate about the Murphy School and Mr. Murphy's vision for these youth. These are tremendous young people that, in spite of all the barriers, all the difficulty, they still try. They still make an effort. And so what we do is we build on that relationship. We develop relationships with these youth so that they do come back. I tell my kids, I said, once a Murphy kid, always a Murphy kid. And if they need help, I don't care how old they are, we help them. They come back with their kids and say,
Really?
Mr. Vidal, here's my daughter, or here's my son. And it makes me feel old,
But good.
But it's a tremendous feeling to see that they're being successful, that they've taken what we've given them and they've made it their own. And that's what independent living services is all about. We do everything from help them change their tire, to help them buy a car, to help them get a license. It's very difficult for youth in foster care to get a driver's license. And so, that's an important skill to have, is having the ability to drive and transport yourself to jobs, to school. And so, we spend a lot of time helping kids get their driver's licenses and helping them practice driving and things like that. We help them with finding housing.
That's important.
The stipend that the state provides to youth that have aged out of foster care is designed to help them pay for their housing needs, to kind of bridge the gap so that they have what they need to be successful. They just need to work at it.
And I understand that they're academically prepared before they leave here, because you have like 100% high school graduation rate when they.
Absolutely. If we have a youth that's living in the group homes or in the cottages, if they stay with us beyond 18, because the state provides support for youth that want to graduate high school. And unfortunately, a lot of foster youth are out of academic alignment. It means, you know, they're not on the same schedule that some of their peers might be. And they may be 17 in the 10th grade or, you know, and so the state provides support for them to be able to graduate. And so for some youth, at 18, they're done. They're leaving, you know, and the ones that we can convince to stay, they always get their diploma. Having that diploma is something that can never be taken away from them. It's a valuable commodity for them to have.
That's wonderful, because kids in traditional homes have a much lower graduation rate than 100% for, you know,
Sure.
from high school. They actually have to come back when they're older and get the GED or realize that this is so important.
Well, and our staff, they're very supportive. You know, it's like I said, it's about building the relationship so that these youth who their own family may not have been up to the task, they depend on us to be able to help them, you know, identify resources in the community, to help them learn how to balance their checkbook. And so, you know, our staff, I have 4 independent living case managers that work with the youth. They develop long-term relationships. They become, you know, almost like their children in some cases. You know, it's funny because I have 4 children of my own, but my kids know when I say my kids or one of my children,
Being
they know
inclusive.
I'm talking about one of my independent living or one of my, you know, Murphey kids.
That message has really come through with the previous interviews as well. That connection not only to the school but to the students that it works with, that it produces, that it makes good citizens. That is so important. I know there are people out there who would want to maybe supplement the things that you do. What's the best way for them to do that? In other words, make a contribution. How can I get involved?
Sure. Well, you know, the Dover Capital City Rotary Club has established a junior Rotary with us. And so we meet with them, you know, one night out of the month where the Rotary members are coming and mentoring and helping build networks for the youth. You know, we receive donations from the community with whether it's clothing or
So people can
food.
specify what they wanted. And I understand you have an online donation.
Absolutely. We have a website where you can go and click on it to be able to donate to the Murphey School.
Okay.
You know, it's a great investment in youth. You know, I that's why I enjoy what I do. Is
So they can
because-
actually say this is going for clothing, or this is...
Absolutely.
Okay.
If they want to tag
So
it for, you know, Christmas or Easter or Little League, we get involved in all those activities.
Mr. Bedell, thank you so very much
Thank
for being
you
with us.
very much.
You're doing a great job here. We'll be right back. Hope you enjoyed today's program at the Elizabeth Murphy School. We've interviewed some key people that have kept this more than 90-year-old school that has sent out more than 9,000 productive citizens into the state and beyond. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you at our next program on PR Delaware with community leaders from Central Delaware. I'm Dave Skocik.